Now, back to the question I asked at the start of the show about Africa's failure to capture a larger chunk of the global battery value chain. Globally, transport accounts for 25% of the CO2 emissions that are a driver of global warming. And for the first time in more than a decade, the cost of an electric car battery is set to rise this year as global demand for cleaner transport systems and renewable energy increases. Faced with supply chain constraints and soaring prices for battery raw minerals such as lithium and cobalt, many car makers are now competing with mining companies to directly access these raw materials at source to avoid production disruptions. So you have car makers who are looking at mineral processing plants and refineries, while mining exploration companies themselves are now refining. For example, Tesla has been slowly moving up the battery value chain, recently applying to build a lithium refinery in the US. While these big global multinational companies and even China are taking advantage of backward and forward integration opportunities within the value chain, a key question in my mind is how fast Africa as a continent can harness these value chains for sustainable economic development. Let's look at a specific example. The Democratic Republic of Congo is rich in battery minerals. In fact, Congo's cobalt is highly prized for its role in mobile phone manufacturing. The country produces 13% of global copper and 70% of the world's cobalt, but it has only managed to capture, get this, just 3% of the global battery value chain. This makes no sense. Meanwhile, that global battery value chain will reach $300 billion by 2030. So just imagine if the DRC didn't only produce cobalt, but did the smelting, the refining, produced the battery cells, did the cell assembling, which, by the way, is a 1.18 trillion market. That's dollars. That would be incredibly transformational for the DRC and the African continent. Now, imagine if this strategy was replicated across Africa's key mineral producers. Then we would be talking about a real industrial revolution across the continent. Well, I hear you ask, what is stopping Africa? Many African countries have lithium resources and other battery mineral resources. However, there is much less investment in critical stages along the supply chain. Currently, Africa has very little capacity for lithium mineral processing, further refining of lithium chemicals, and very little capacity for manufacture of battery components. This leads to a typical situation where mineral concentrate is exported, value is added outside Africa, and products using lithium-ion batteries are then imported. But there have been models such as Botswana's diamond mining sector, where public-private partnerships created an industrial strategy that led to the creation of a diamond hub. With policy instruments helping to driving investors and a great deal of political will, significant value was retained locally in Botswana. Botswana's diamond hub has been going strong since 2008 and has created millions of local jobs. Now, Africa isn't going to become a prime battery manufacturer overnight. That road is long, but we need to capture way more value than we currently do. I'm Rolake Akinkugbe-Filani. You've been watching Business Week. Tweet at me, and I'll see you next week.